Hi, today on Catherine Learns Stuff, I'm going to walk you through how I made a Princess Peach wheelchair Halloween costume. This is a list of the things that I used to make this costume. I needed a cardboard box, some paint, some fabric, some ribbon, hot glue and a glue gun, some zip ties, a Princess Peach crown, and a box cutter. To make this costume, you'll need about a few hours. I broke it up over several days. Like with many Halloween costumes, the main item I used for this project is a cardboard box. So once I had the box safely at home, it was time to cut it up. I needed two large panels, one for each side of the wheelchair. So using my trusty box cutter, I cut up the box. Once I had the two large panels cut out, I sketched on a semicircle on only one box. Once I was happy with the shape, I cut this out, and then I used this to trace the second one. I wanted my skirt to be symmetrical, so I needed to make sure that I used one after the other and didn't freehand both semicircles. Now that I have my two pieces of cardboard cut out, it's time to paint them. I wanted to make the skirt a similar pink to what Princess Peach has in the comics and sort of on the video games, so I just used some red and white paint from the dollar store and I added some water so that the paint would go farther. At the end of this process, it took me 2 coats of paint to cover up the cardboard, but it didn't take very long to dry, so it worked out pretty well. The one thing that I do recommend is when you are painting the boxes that you make sure you are painting on the opposite sides so that the outside of the skirt will look the same on both sides. I wanted to add trim around the edge of the skirt so that there would be no sharp edges or corners and so that nobody would get cut. I went to my local thrift shop and found some hot pink sheets for really cheap, and I used that as my fabric to go around the edge of the skirt. I cut out a 5-inch wide section for the full length of the sheet. On the front of the skirt, I placed the fabric onto the edge of the cardboard, applying hot glue under the fabric all the way around the top edge of the skirt. I placed the fabric on the glue and let it dry. Then I flipped the fabric over the top edge of the skirt and glued it down onto the other side. This method allowed the front of the skirt to have a nice rounded look and no loose fabric showing. At the bottom of each side, I left about 1.5 to 2 inches of fabric so that I could fold it towards the back and glue it down. Now, if you see images of Princess Peach, you'll know that at the bottom of her skirt there's a bunch of ruffles. And so that's what I wanted to have on this skirt. About 4 inches from the bottom, I marked off with light pencil every 5 inches or so across the length so that I could add in some ribbon. Once I had my marks down, I quickly glued on a piece of ribbon, one for each spot, and each piece of ribbon was about 4 inches long. Again, using a full length of the sheet, I measured about 8 inches in width. I cut the fabric. This would be for my ruffles. I glued the top of the ribbon onto the cardboard box, and then I glued on each section of the skirt onto the ribbon. I made sure to bunch up the fabric in between each set of ribbons so that it would hang down and make it look like a ruffle. In order to make the ruffles look nice and not show too much glue or edges of fabric, I made sure to glue the ribbon into place behind the fabric on against the cardboard. I continued pulling and moving the fabric around to make it look like ruffles all the way across the bottom of the skirt. Finally, I wanted to add on a rump onto the back of the skirt to make it look similar to Princess Peach's in the comics. I cut out a square of fabric that was about 2.5 feet by 2 feet. This was going to drop over the edge of the skirt from the top and sort of the middle to the back. Again, using hot glue, I glued this on close to the original outer lining that we previously glued on. I then flipped this fabric over so that it would cover a portion of the skirt. Using glue to hold everything in place, I cut off the surplus fabric so that it would not get in the way. When adding the rump to the skirt, you need to mirror 2 pieces of cardboard. So you want to make sure that the rump is on the left side on one piece and on the right side on the other. Otherwise, you'll have the rump the wrong way on one part of the wheelchair. Once the skirt was done, I had to attach this to the wheelchair. I like to do a test run before Halloween to make sure that it all fits on and to see if we need to make any adjustments with the cardboard. So I pulled out some Faithful zip ties and made some holes in the skirt, kind of trying to hide them under the fabric where I could, and place the zip ties onto the wheelchair and the skirt. For the most part, where I could, I would just poke a hole through with scissors, but in 1 or 2 places I needed to use a drill to get through everything. When we were doing the test fitting for the wheelchair, I realized that the front of the skirt was actually rubbing up against the wheels on the wheelchair. So I used some old cardboard tubes that I had from vinyl that I use. They're very thick and durable, so I just cut those up a little bit and I glued and zip tied them to the side of the skirt. That left a big mark with zip ties on the side of the skirt. So what I did was I quickly just printed off some stickers of the star from Mario Brothers so that it could be covering up those zip tie spots. And then the skirt was complete. Every princess needs a crown, and so does Princess Peach. So what I did was I found a free Princess Peach crown online and I 3D printed that out. I've left a file for this 3D print in the description below. The print didn't take too long and it turned out perfectly. The nice thing about this print was that you could have it with a headband so that you could wear it on your head if you wanted to, or just tie it onto the wheelchair if your child doesn't like things on their heads. And there you have it. So that's the Princess Peach wheelchair costume that we made the other year for Halloween. Hopefully you've enjoyed this tutorial, and hopefully this helps you make your own Princess Peach costume or gives you some ideas on how to make another type of costume that's similar. If you have any questions or comments, be sure to leave them below. And thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.